And we looked, and the Government Accountability Office said back in 2021, most ICE agents are not trained to handle crowd control. So are you looking at expanding the training for the agents that you are putting in this situation that you describe as dangerous out in Minneapolis?
They are absolutely trained for the situations that they're put in. We would never put an officer in a situation that they would be beyond their training and skill set. And so these are highly trained individuals that are here and in Minneapolis doing the operations they are. And frankly, the Minneapolis Chief of Police is not an expert. Absolutely, they are trained to that. Their specialized skill set is being utilized for where they are located and the jobs that they are doing in Minneapolis and across other cities across the country. They have an incredible amount of training that is ongoing throughout their careers.
Do you want to expand that?
Control, in handling enforcement operations that they have. Do I want to expand it based on the Minneapolis Police Chief's advice?
Well, some
Not on his advice.
No, but some Republican lawmakers have called for that.
If you remember, well, Republican lawmakers and Democrat lawmakers, they absolutely can continue to debate. That's what they're supposed to do, is work on policy and pass laws. What I know is that under the Department of Homeland Security has always been entrusted with training our federal law enforcement officers. We do it for many different agencies. We train those within the ATF, the DEA. We train those that are established across the country.
Yep.
We are the largest law enforcement operation and department in the government beyond the Department of War, and we're proud of that, and we've done it with excellence for years and are continuing to put the resources and people into our law enforcement officers. They need to change and to challenge these situations they're facing on the ground.
Yeah, but you've described this situation as unique. You've acknowledged that. I want to talk to you about some of the incidents that the public has seen. There was a U.S. citizen, Aliyah Rahman, on her way to a medical appointment out in Minneapolis. She was dragged out of her car and detained. Video of her arrest was spreading on social media. There were allegations there of aggressive tactics. You've seen other incidents, for example, out in Minneapolis. This family with 6 children, with one as young as 6 months old, got kind of caught in the incident as they were driving to basketball practice. Mm-hmm. The mother, Destiny Jackson, told CBS ICE agents stopped the car, told them to leave, but the agents were in the way, and they feared that they would have happened to them what happened to Renee Good. They didn't drive off. ICE released a canister of tear gas, and the mother described giving her infant CPR. We're showing that video there. Do any of these tactics seem to you heavy-handed?
That family was caught up in that situation because of violent protesters that were impeding law enforcement operations. And that family would have never been in that situation if those protesters had been acting peacefully and law enforcement was able to do their job without being threatened. And so it's a terrible situation that family had to go through, and I hope it never happens again. But we need to remember that because the mayor and the governor have allowed this kind of violence to be perpetuated across Minneapolis is why there's other innocent people that are impacted throughout the city, but throughout their state as well. And it doesn't have to be this way. They could establish a peaceful protest zone. They could enforce their laws. And if Governor Walz didn't recognize that what he is doing there is poor leadership, he wouldn't have put his National Guard on standby in order to respond. And I'm hopeful that he does recognize that he needs to start working with us.
Are your agents going to comply
I know the White House has asked him to.
Sorry, with the federal order on Friday to not use chemical agents?
That federal order was a little ridiculous because that federal judge came down and told us we couldn't do what we already aren't doing. We
just saw video of chemical agents being used.
We only use those chemical agents when there's violence happening and perpetuating, and you need to be able to establish law and order to keep people safe. That's the only situation. So that judge's order didn't change anything for how we're operating on the ground, because it's basically telling us to do what we've already been doing.
Madam Secretary, thank you for your time this morning. Face the Nation will be back in a minute. Stay with us.